Alright, we're going to look at our TEK 8.10a, which says that you need to be able to recognize that the sun provides the energy that drives convection within the atmosphere and the oceans, producing winds and ocean currents. So let's talk about that for a minute. So, convection. Anybody remember what convection is? Well, remember, convection currents are those circular transfer of heat energy. It's when the warm air or water, we're going to say a fluid, because that means gas or liquid. So that could be what? Air or water. See what I said? Air. And here we have water. Okay, so when gases or liquids are heated or warm, the warmer molecules rise, whereas when they rise to the top of whatever they're at, they cool and then they sink again. So cool sinks. Meaning cool is more dense, right? And warm is less dense. That's why it rises. Okay, so let's think about this. They were talking about oceans, and they were also talking about air. So this is what distributes energy in the ocean. So let's say here's the United States, and I'm not going to draw a great picture, so y'all can forget it. Something like that, and something like that. Okay, so here's the United States. We have the Atlantic Ocean over here, Pacific over here. We know that somewhere way down here is the equator. And somewhere way, way up there is the pole, because above or north of the United States is Canada, and then above that you would find the North Pole. So here's warm. So this is the inside the ocean. This is where warmer water would rise and actually go towards the pole. Cooler water at the poles would sink. Now these convection currents are all over the world in all oceans. So we do have one warm ocean current that kind of goes along the coast of the east coast of the United States, and also kind of comes in here and makes a little loop-de-loop, right? And I'm sure you know what this is. This is a warm ocean current. It is the Gulf Stream. Look where it's coming from, the equator. So it's bringing nice warm water with it and traveling towards the poles. Okay? Now from the poles downward, and we have one of these coming in on our west coast of the United States, is a nice cold current, and it's all going all the way along the west coast of the U.S., coming from the pole to the equator. It's a cold current, and it's known as the California current. Well, ocean water heats up because it gets heat from the sun, just like anything on Earth. All the heat that we have on Earth comes from the sun. So that's how this one's warming, bringing that warm water up. Cooler, dense water is below it, coming back towards the equator. So that's that flow of that convection current. It's also known as a gyre. If you ever see that word, that's the same thing. All right. This warm ocean current that flanks our eastern seaboard as well as our Gulf Coast community also affects the air above it, because the water is warm, the air gets warmed from the water. So the air above the water is warm as well, thanks to that Gulf Stream. So what does this mean? Well, this means that our winters are milder. So it never does get as cold here as it does, for example, in Dallas, where it snows and ices every winter. We don't get any of that because we have this warm ocean current that keeps our area nice and toasty. This is kind of where we're at, okay? All right, what about this one? Well, this cool California current helps keep California cool during the summers. So in California, along the coastline, here, Los Angeles, San Francisco, you are going to see nice, mild summertime with a high maybe of 85 degrees, kind of like we're having right now. Really nice. They're not going to get into the 100 degree range like we do. All right, so these are some of those global ocean currents. All right, now remember the air gets heated by touching the water. So if you have warm water, you're going to have warm air. If you have cold water, you're going to have cool air above it. Real briefly, what causes two things that you kind of probably are still a little confused about. Waves are caused by wind. Okay, so when the wind blows, that gives you ocean waves. Wind is caused by, you guessed it, convection. So just like we have that convection in the ocean all the way around the globe, we have cool air rising and warm air sinking, and that's moving our air, and we just call that wind. Okay, that's what we call it. And I think that just about covers 8.10a. One last thing, where does all this energy come from to move convection, to cause wind, to cause ocean currents? The sun. Sun's heat. Energy is the culprit for these motions.